Alright, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another installment of Beer Time. I'm Ferris, as usual. Let's get started. Now, before we jump into this recent review here, I want to talk a little bit about ice cream. Everyone will tell you the most popular flavor of ice cream is vanilla. Why is that? That's because it appeals to everybody. It's the least common denominator of ice cream. It's the least offensive flavor. If you give someone ice cream for the first time, it's going to be vanilla. Okay? That's kind of what I wanted to talk about in this case here. By the way, for the record, the best flavor of ice cream is Vegan's Nightmare from Mary Ann's in Santa Cruz. It's maple with a fudge ribbon with chunks of chocolate-covered bacon in it. Now, I do want to get into this here. This is not going to be a down review. This is going to be a positive review, especially because I am a big fan of this brewery, Firestone Walker, Paso Robles, California. Hands down, one of the most innovative and most successful craft brewers on the West Coast. If you're here in the lower 48, you can find this stuff, well, actually easier now, but we'll get to that in a moment. I've been to their brewery. It's a fantastic operation. They also run a real good restaurant there as well, too. One of the first beers I ever really had that was an introduction to me there was Firestone Double Barrel, which they still sell today and is another beer that we might cover later on. The reason I'm covering this here is recently Firestone Walker got bought into by Duvel, which is another Belgian brewery and one of the larger ones as well. If Belgium has a Budweiser, or an Anheuser-Busch, I should say, pardon me, this would be it. Cool thing about Duvel is for a lot of the buy-ins, they do kind of a hands-off approach. So what made the brewery great and the beer great, leave it alone. Don't, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Which means, though, is that you might be seeing, if you haven't seen anything from Firestone before, you might be seeing more of it soon. Which is why I wanted to cover this. This is Firestone Walker's 805. It's one of their newer beers, and this is their vanilla. Basically, I've had this before, but that's no excuse to not have it again with you people. This is a beer that for me and my wife, by the way, who I love and is awesome, because she puts up with all of my horseshit, pardon my French, we have diametrically opposite tastes on beer. She prefers something real light, not a lot of flavor to it, macro brews sort of stuff. I think there's places for macro brews, but they're not my favorite. I prefer, well, actually almost anything really. This is a beer that appeals to both of us. And we'll get to why in a few minutes. First off, while we're waiting for the head to settle and for the rest of the bottle to come out of, it's a golden beer. It's a golden ale, real light color. Hopefully the new lights that I've gotten here should kind of emphasize that a little bit. Turn it around so that logo's not showing there, so y'all can see that a little better. Almost like if you've ever seen a Pilsner, or even if you take a look at like Budweiser, for those of you who haven't tried a real beer before, haha. Let my snob come out there a little bit. Clarity's good. This is a brewery that really has their stuff together, by the way. It's not a fly-by-night operation. So, good strong head. Wait for that to settle a little bit. A little bit of the nitty-gritty of the beer. It is 4.7% ABV, so that should be very sessionable. For For those of you that don't remember or don't know, sessionable meaning that it's a beer that is designed so that it's not too heavy. You can have it and still kind of keep your equilibrium. Doing yard work during the game, for example, it's not going to sneak up on you and curb stomp you. Let's get into flavor. That is good. You know, I say that a lot. I do mean it. Not very bitter. Which, if you're making a mass appeal beer, isn't really what you want. There are your hop lovers out there. I happen to be one of them. I love hops, which are the bittering agents in beer. Whenever I brew, I just dive right into the hops. I like getting the smell of them in there. Just absolutely fantastic. Probably one of my favorite ingredients to beer. This does not have a whole lot of hops to it. There are there. There's plenty in there. But they're not for bittering. The malt is golden, pale. Not quite toasty. This is, continuing an analogy here. By the way, in case you haven't figured it out, I'm really kind of ad-libbing this as I go, because I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't think anybody else does, really. I just want to let you guys in on the secret. I said in my last review about the Delirium Tremens, if that were a piece of music, that'd be chamber music. I think I said the Bach's Unaccompanied Cello Suite. If you're talking about beer and music analogies, this is the Eagles. All right? It's 4-chord progression. It's real simple, but it's going to appeal to everybody. And you can actually kind of almost hear it while you're drinking it. You can hear the opening strains to Hotel California go through as you drink this here. You can get a case of this, and your craft brew loving friend over here is going to like it, and your macro brew cheap beer loving friend over here is going to like it, and you're just going to be the champ at the party. That's all there is to it. So a bit of clever, pardon me, I'm sorry, little clever beer marketing ploy on the guys over at Firestone Walker. And I don't blame them, because, hey, that's going to sell. Have a little bit more of that there. Ooh, that's good. That is excellent. Yeah, just all around great beer. If I were, now let's talk about pricing. This here, 1 pint, 6 ounces, at my local craft brew shop, ran me about $4.50. There's a chance, again, I can't speak for everywhere here in the lower 48, Canada, international, any other places like that. This is worth trying, I'll say that. As far as price goes, depends on how expensive you're feeling. I would definitely say that for what you'd go for this particular beer, this is a beer to get for an event. Like if you're hosting, say, a Super Bowl party coming up, good beer for it. Because, again, it appeals to everybody. Okay? Will it be, you know, kind of a standout, unique beer? Probably not, because that's not what it was brewed for. This was beer brewed to appeal to everybody, okay? And it does. It's not real heavy on the palate. It's real light without being a light beer. There is still a pretty good amount of complexity to it. Again, you got a real rich, pale, bright malt. And that progresses into those bready, yeasty notes that linger around there with you. Another good way to think about this is that, think of this as like if you remember the Delirium Tremens from my last review, this is its like third generation, you know? This is the beer that's been in the States for like 3 or 4 generations that will say, oh yes, I'm Belgian, you know, all my family, I've never been, but, you know, my family's from there. That's kind of what this is. You know, it is a good, it's got the heritage to it. It's not exactly like it, but it will definitely claim heritage to it. What you'd expect to pay for this, what I would say would be a fair price for it if you're buying a 6-pack, oh, probably about 8, 9, maybe. Cases are generally cheaper, so maybe about 14 for a case. Definitely a good all-round beer. Great all-round beer, actually. Which is probably what's going to be the beer that puts Firestone Walker on the map. I'll be definitely touching on a few of their other beers later on because they are excellent. They are a brewery really worth looking at. If you do a brewery tour here in California, I know Paso Robles is a little far off the beaten path. I think they've got another brewery down in, I think either San Luis Obispo or Santa Barbara. I can never remember which is a little bit closer to for most people. But definitely worth the trip. Even just for Paso Robles. Paso Robles is a beautiful little town. But I'm getting sidetracked. Good beer. Very good beer. For you Firestone Walker guys, I'm real proud to say that you guys are fellow Californians because, hands down, you guys are one of my favorite breweries of all time. Hard for me to say I'm objective because of that. But, no, if you guys are definitely looking to break into the mass market sort of thing, this is a great beer to do that, to appeal to all palates, and still remain true to your roots. That's real hard to do. And it pleases me to see that someone's actually doing it. Real time there. But that's all I got. As always, please subscribe to the channel. Tell me what you think. Follow me on Twitter at @iron_fox. In the meantime, stay safe. Please drink responsibly. Cheers.